These Strange Ashes by Elizabeth Elliot. Preface. From time to time someone asks me which I think is my best book. I reply that it is a little like asking a mother which of her children she prefers. Each one comes at fairly high cost. One hopes that she has learned something through the production of each, but I doubt that either mothers or authors are the best judges of what they produce. Nevertheless, I confess to feeling a certain tenderness for this book. It tells the story of my earliest lessons in the sovereignty of God, 3 stunning ones assigned to me in the first year as a jungle missionary. One of these lessons was solely an act of God. The other 2 were acts of lawbreakers. In all 3, however, God let me hear his clear word: trust me. Many times since that year in San Miguel de los Colorados, the lesson has had to be repeated. It is not natural for me to trust God. It is my natural inclination to worry, to assume burdens never intended for me, to give way to discouragement and even fear. In speaking about God's love and sovereign care over us, I am often asked how we are to accept, as within the context of a loving Father's will, the evil that befalls us because of the sins of others. Is God the author of sin? Did he inspire the murder and theft that tried my faith as a new missionary? The questions arise again and again in many contexts, as people tell me of accidents to loved ones, of divorces, handicapped children, abusive husbands, economic disasters, betrayed trust, and death. Bad things happen, and so often they happen to good people. Shall we assume we are at the mercy of mere chance? Or shall we cling to the conviction that God is still omnipotent as well as all-loving? But why did an omnipotent creator place in his universe creatures with the will to defy him? Why did he give them in the first place freedom of will, power to choose, when surely he knew that their choices would be evil? Why is the power of causality granted to us when we make each other suffer in consequence? The power to exercise the will has been delegated. It was delegated to us, and God will not usurp it. Most of the time, we like the idea of our own freedom. There are times when we do not like at all the idea of the freedom of others. If we suffer because of their freedom, let us remember that they suffer because of ours. There is something else to remember also. Christ, who willed our freedom, suffered for all of us. Take a long look at what happened at Calvary. The agony there was of the just for the unjust. Why? To bring us to God. Jesus, even in the hands of his captors, was aware that the hour of darkness had its limits, set by his Father. Everything that happened to him was part of the appointed way, yet he said, "Alas, for that man by whom he is betrayed." The Son of God, helpless in the hands of wicked humans. What a strange thing! What a mystery Christians proclaim in their faith. But it's hard to see how that mystery makes much difference when we ourselves are in the pit. Then the whys come from a heart choked with disbelief. We look at the chaos and the destruction. We don't look with much clarity at God, but his attention has not wandered. The everlasting arms have not let go their hold. When Elisha's servant went out early in the morning, he saw a force with horses and chariots surrounding the city. "O Master," he said, "which way are we to turn?" Elisha answered, "Do not be afraid, for those who are on our side are more than those on theirs." Elisha then prayed, asking the Lord to open his servant's eyes. The Lord opened his eyes, and the servant saw the hills covered with horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. The horses and chariots that the servant had first seen were real enough. He had good reason to fear, if that was all there was. They had no place to turn, it seemed. But for every visible reason for terror, there was an invisible and immensely more powerful reason for trust. Those fiery horses and chariots are still doing God's bidding. Still, the Lord speaks that word to us, wherever we are, whatever the forces that oppose us. Trust me. Never mind the answers to the whys just now. Those are mine. Trust me. Over 40 years have passed since this story took place. Nearly every time I have told it and tried to explain what I think God wanted to teach me in it, of absolute commitment and trust, someone has asked, but why did God let it happen? Someday they and I will be satisfied with his answer. Of one thing I am perfectly sure: God's story never ends with ashes.